Imagine you go to the doctor because you're feeling a little anxious. Instead of prescribing therapy or medication, he pulls out an ice pick and says, "Don't worry, I'll fix that right up."
You what?
Sounds like a joke, right? Nope. Welcome to the mid-20th century, where the leading treatment for mental illness was brain damage, on purpose. So what actually happens when someone is lobotomized? Well, nothing good. Let's get into it. The brilliant idea that wasn't so brilliant. The lobotomy was invented in the 1930s by a Portuguese neurologist named Egas Moniz. His theory? Mental illness is caused by bad connections in the brain, so why not just cut them? And because science loves people who take wild guesses, he even won a Nobel Prize for it in 1949. At first, everyone thought this was the miracle cure. Depression, lobotomy. Schizophrenia, lobotomy. Bad at math. Who knows, maybe a lobotomy. Soon, thousands of people were getting their brains scrambled like Sunday morning eggs. How it was done? Spoiler, badly. At first, surgeons drilled holes into the skull and cut the brain tissue inside. But this was too slow. So in the 1940s, an American doctor named Walter Freeman thought, why not make this faster and more dramatic? Enter the ice pick method. Yes, you heard that right. Freeman decided that instead of drilling holes, he'd take an actual ice pick, shove it through the eye socket, wiggle it around inside the brain like he was stirring a cocktail. Oh, and anesthesia? Sometimes. Other times, patients just got electroshocked unconscious and hoped for the best. Side effects, aka why this was a terrible idea. Surprise, surprise. Turns out shoving a metal stick into someone's brain has some downsides. Here's what happened to patients post-lobotomy. 1. Cognitive decline. Many lobotomized patients struggled with memory, problem solving, and basic thinking. Because when you slice up the part of the brain responsible for intelligence, things go south fast. 2. Emotional shutdown. A lot of patients lost all ability to feel emotions. No sadness, no happiness, just static noise. Some became disturbingly passive, just sitting in chairs all day like broken NPCs in a video game. 3. Personality changes. Some patients turned into completely different people. A loving mother might become an indifferent shell of herself. An anxious person might become overly giggly for no reason. It was like rolling the dice, except the only outcomes were bad and worse. 4. Physical problems. Because brain surgery isn't exactly risk-free, some patients ended up with seizures, paralysis, or just straight up died. But hey, at least they weren't troublesome anymore, right? The fall of the lobotomy. Finally. By the 1950s, scientists had a groundbreaking realization. Maybe brain damage isn't a great cure for mental illness?
What? No way.
Around this time, new psychiatric drugs like Thorazine were introduced. And suddenly, there was a way to manage mental health without turning people into zombies. Even Freeman, the ice pick enthusiast, eventually fell out of favor. His last lobotomy was performed on a woman named Helen Mortensen in 1967. Spoiler: she died. That was the moment when people finally said, you know what, maybe let's not do this anymore. What we can learn from this mess. So, what happens when someone is lobotomized? Well, their brain gets scrambled, their personality is never the same, and their ability to function is permanently damaged. The lesson? Just because a medical procedure is trendy doesn't mean it's a good idea. People once thought smoking was good for your lungs, cocaine was a fine ingredient for soda, and drilling holes in skulls cured headaches. Lobotomy is just another reminder that humans are really good at making terrible decisions. Thankfully, today we have therapy, medication, and actual science to treat mental illness instead of stabbing brains with kitchen utensils.
I have to take a pill every 6 hours or I feel funny.
Lobotomies may be a thing of the past, but history has a way of repeating itself if we're not careful. So next time you hear about some new revolutionary treatment, maybe ask, is this science? Or just another ice pick moment waiting to happen? If you found this horrifying and fascinating at the same time, check out the next video on your screen. You won't believe what else medical history got horribly wrong.